morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular, well, it's regular only in a sense that we have the meeting. It's normally on a Monday. Today isn't a Wednesday because Monday was a holiday. But so this is a regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. We'll be sitting as all special taxing districts, and this is July 7th, 9 a.m. Board members will attend either in person, by telephone, or remotely via electronic conferencing. They're all here. So I'm calling to order this regular session. And the first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Lyons, would you please lead us on the pledge?
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. The first item in the agenda is call to the public, and call to the public is held for the public's benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and a decision at a future date. I do have one. And you don't have to fill out a form necessarily. We just like to, know that you want to address the board. So we do have a form, and the gentleman's name is Giordano Bruno, I think, and he wants to address the board. Is Giordano here?
Yes, my name is Giordano Bruno, 12th century monk. He spoke truth to power. The Inquisition ripped out his tongue and burned him at the stake. So the reason why I use that name as a moniker is because you have ripped out my tongue and you have burned me at the stake. Since I have moved here a year and a half ago, I moved here to take care of my aging parents. My mother is 77 years old. She has 5th stage dementia. My father is 79 years old. He has asbestosis and emphysema. I came here to take care of them. I'm a video journalist. I go through and I audit public employees and how they value the First Amendment to the Constitution, and Yuma County sucks. You guys do not believe in the Constitution. Since I have been here, I have been thrown to the ground, I have been piled upon, I've been assaulted numerous times, I've been told that I can't record in places that I obviously can record. I've been thrown to the ground, I've been held over for 2 days without food and water. I was denied food and water for 2 days. When I was throwing up into the toilet, the police officer at the jail cell told me to drink out of the toilet. I begged the man for water. In Arizona, if you ask somebody for water and they refuse it, it's a crime. And you all have committed a crime. You've taken my cameras away on October 26th. You took 2 cameras away. You took away my intellectual property and you refused to give it back. This is the video footage of the assault that you did to me. You threw me to the ground twice, once while in cuffs, and you kneed me in the kidney. I formed an impassable kidney stone. My doctor said it was because the dehydration event, the denial of food and water, as to why I formed an impassable kidney stone. I say it was the knee to the kidney. It was the injury. It was the bruised kidney. And so now here I am 8 months later, and you still have my cameras. You still have my video footage. So please, return my cameras to me. You're thieves. You're nothing but a bunch of dishonest, corrupt thieves. There are only 2 types of people in the world who fear the camera. 2 types of people in the world who fear the camera. The inept, and the corrupt. And they're not mutually exclusive. You need to ask yourself which one you are. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Anyone else? All right. No one else can call to the public. We will move on to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. This is where the segment of the agenda allows board members to discuss presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Yuma County Board of Adjustment. There will be no legal action. Are there any board members that want to make an appointment or need to make an appointment? If not, we'll move on to the first item in the agenda, and this part of the agenda, which is the presentation of the county line by Yuma 77, the Yuma County Government Channel.
A project in Welton helps to ensure homes don't flood in the future. The school year is still about a month away, but right now is the perfect time to check your child's immunization records. And Need a break from the heat? The Health District has cooling centers throughout Yuma County. These stories and more, this is your County Line. With the monsoon season right around the corner, Yuma County's engineering department is finishing up a big project just in time. Out in the town of Welton, some homes were in danger of flooding when Coyote Wash overran with rainwater. This led to the Coyote Wash Channelization Project. Several homes that were in the flood zone were removed, along with trees, shrubs, fences, and sheds. A channel was dug for an improved path for water to flow. The project is currently installing bay box culvert structures designed to allow floodwaters from Coyote Wash to flow under 3 streets.
All of the houses around here are in the 100-year flood zone, and so to get any kind of loan they have to have flood insurance. And when we get the project done and get the paperwork done, then all of those houses will come out of the flood zone and they won't need flood insurance.
Once finished, roadways over Coyote Wash will be paved and will include curb, gutter, and ADA-compliant sidewalks. With the completion of the project, water flow from the wash will be diverted and emptied into the Gila River. Summer break is in full swing here in Yuma County, and the last thing on most kids' minds is going back to school. But for parents, it's the perfect time to start preparing your kids for the upcoming school year. It's particularly a good time to think about checking your school-age children's shot records if you haven't updated them recently.
In this last year, a lot of kids have fallen behind in their shots. And so we want to make sure with school starting, kids are coming in and they're getting caught up on their vaccinations, preventing illnesses, and getting back to school and be healthy.
Your Yuma County Public Health District recently announced their back-to-school immunization clinic schedule. During the last 2 weeks of July, the clinics will be offered from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Residents can visit the health district to ensure your child's immunization records are up to date. For more information about what you'll need to bring with you to your appointment or to make an appointment, please visit the health district's immunization program page or call 317-4550. There's no online registration for the clinics. Summer has just begun, and here in Yuma County, we've already reached temperatures over 110 degrees. These triple-digit temperatures won't begin to drop until mid-fall, and that's why cooling centers have been opened in the Yuma area. Yuma County Public Health Services District have teamed up to work with local organizations to open cooling centers in Yuma County. Anyone needing temporary relief from the heat are encouraged to use them to cool off and drink water.
The cooling stations are important because of the health risks related to extreme heat. By participating with these organizations and providing this temporary space for heat relief, we're able to help decrease the probability of heat-related illness within Yuma County.
If you'd like to know exactly where the cooling stations are located, log on to yumacountyaz.gov. You can search on the site or find Health District under the Government tab.
I'm Elia Juarez, and this is your library update. It's the announcement so many of you have been waiting for. Programs in person are coming back to the Yuma County Library District. Programming schedules will be different at every one of our branches, so please make sure to stop in and check with your local branch to see what types of programs are returning and when those programs will be held. For now, I can tell you that one of our first story times will be at Main Library on July 1st, and then there will be other story times coming for kids throughout the month of July and into August. For all of our announcements, as well as information on programs and other activities happen at your closest branch, make sure you check us out on our website at yumalibrary.org and follow us across all of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
Before we go, are you looking to get rid of junk that's been piling up around your house or in your yard? Yuma County's Public Works Department is currently working out a schedule for neighborhood cleanups throughout Yuma County. We'll have more details in the future, but in the meantime, you can always head out to one of the 4 transfer sites provided by Yuma County. For more information on facility locations or hours of operation, visit our website at yumacountyaz.gov. You can find Public Works under the Government tab. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this County Line. If you'd like to watch past episodes, log on to yumacountyaz.gov/VOD. And don't forget, you can join us live on Facebook. We'd like to leave you now with a message from Yuma County employee Ian McGahey, telling us why he loves working for Yuma County.
My name is Ian McGahey. I'm the Deputy County Administrator and I've been here 1 year. You get the sense here that there's a real team environment. It starts with the Board of Supervisors and goes all the way through the organizations. You get to work on projects that have a real direct benefit on our community. And you get to see that benefit take shape in real life. It really doesn't matter what your job is or what level, every position in county government is important. We're all working together to make positive change in our community, and that's a great feeling.
Yeah, they forgot to say it was a paid advertisement. Oh, thank you very much. And before we move on in the agenda, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of a city councilwoman, Leslie McClendon. She's visiting with us over there. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoy it more than a council meeting. All right, we'll move on to the next item in the agenda, which is for county administration. It's a presentation by Dr. Daniel Kaur regarding Arizona Western College activities and fiscal responsibility for fiscal year 2021-2022. Dr. Kaur.
Good morning. Good morning. Honor to be here, and Chairman Reyes, members of the board, and a special shout out to Arizona Western College Hall of Fame inductee Len Pancrazzi. So first among equals here today as a Hall of Fame member of the Matadors. I just want to spend about 5 minutes or so bringing you up to date on some of the recent developments at your community college, Arizona Western College. And just like all of us, it's been a very tough year at the college. Our enrollment last year was down 17%, an unprecedented drop in enrollment. We, especially as a college serving primarily first-generation students of color, that was a drop that we really need to turn around, and I've got some good news in that respect later in the presentation. The good news is we passed a budget last month, and once again, that budget saw no increase in local property taxes. That's 4 years running. We start each budget cycle with the understanding that the tax dollars belong to the taxpayers, and we will only go and ask for additional revenue when it is absolutely necessary. And again, for the 4th year running, 4 out of the 5 years I've been at the college, we did not ask for, and there was no increase in property taxes in our budget. Which is not to say we're standing pat at the college. We have taken the unfortunate circumstances of the pandemic to act very aggressively. I sought and received approval from my district governing board, permission to sell $35 million in revenue bonds, not GO bonds. These are not taxpayer funded bonds, but rather will be funded by revenue. We did this because this was a unique opportunity with historically low interest rates to improve the infrastructure on our campus to serve generations of students to come. So we've already sold $25 million of those bonds. We got 10 million more bonds to come. We have 3 building projects online, a state-of-the-art instructional building that will be in the center of campus. We have 1 residence hall that has been already taken offline because of it was an original structure, which means it's 58 years old. Dorms get lived in hard. And this was a 58-year dorm, and we've taken it offline. We will raise that dorm, Deanza, and rebuild a brand new 3-story residence hall on our campus. The 3rd building is a modern state-of-the-art allied health building to serve the needs of this community in terms of training next-generation healthcare workers. The really great piece here to speak to our fiscal stewardship at the college, our bond rating by S&P, A+. For revenue bonds, which is really unheard of, which allowed us to sell that first $25 million. Really, the cost of money is nothing at this point. So we took an opportunity during this period to really act very aggressively to serve the community moving forward. A couple of other things. This last legislative session saw legislation signed by Governor Ducey that will allow community colleges to offer baccalaureate degrees. I get asked a lot, is Arizona Western College going to be offering baccalaureate degrees? And I'll tell you right now, we have no interest in doing that for the very reason we are in a unique situation of partnering with our 3 state universities right on our campus currently. And we've got some big news in that respect too. Just last month at our June board meeting, we announced a brand new partnership with ASU to bring ASU Local to Yuma. ASU Local will really expand the footprint of Arizona State University on our campus. They have their first location in Los Angeles, ASU Local. Their second will open up this summer in Washington, D.C. Their third will be right here in Yuma on the campus of Arizona Western College. And again, we'll bring about 100 new baccalaureate degrees to Yuma on our campus. We are also partnering with the Arizona Board of Regents to increase the footprint from all 3 state universities, once again, right on our campus in Yuma. So this is the Arizona Innovation Alliance, sponsored by ABOR, and we are in active conversations right now to bring additional programs and services, baccalaureate from the universities to Yuma. So really, when you can partner with the 3 state universities, there is no need for a community college to unnecessarily expand its mission, to expand the costs that come with receiving all the certifications and accreditation and hiring faculty and building out those programs when we have those programs already in place with our universities. So lots of great things, and that speaks directly to our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal at the college of doubling baccalaureate attainment by 2035. This is a key piece of doing that, bringing these programs right here to Yuma. We are also part of the governor's Reskilling and Recovery. This was a National Governors Association, 20 states sponsored Reskilling and Recovering, and it's just what it sounds like, coming out of the pandemic-induced recession and reskilling and recovering here in Yuma. We were one of 20 states associated with that, and Governor Ducey turned to Arizona Western College to spearhead that effort here in Yuma. A lot of great stuff coming out of that. A couple of quick facts in that regard. Just a few years ago, 25% of our enrollment was in career and technical education. 5 short years later, it's 40%. At some point, those lines will cross. There is a tremendous need for short-term, skills-based training that someone can come, receive training, and enter the workforce in a relatively short period of time. There's another exciting initiative. It's Arizona Western College was the first, your community college was the first community college in the U.S. to be certified by the Transatlantic Business and Industry Council. They're based out of Berlin. And what you do is you receive certification that your manufacturing programs, your electrical programs, meet EU standards. Why is that important? Partnering with Julie Engel and Yuma Economic Development Company, we can entice companies from Europe to come to Yuma and set up shop here, knowing that their local community college can train workers to meet their needs. There's been 2 or 3 other community colleges that have since been certified, but we were the first to do so. And we're excited to partner with Julie and her team to bring industry here to the county. And last thing is, we are an Amazon Web Services provider now. Again, everything's moving to the cloud. There is about 90,000 unfilled positions nationally for these type techs, and we have partnered with Amazon, one of the first in the state to offer that certification right here in Yuma to our residents. All right. So I shared, we got some good news. Enrollment is back up. Okay, we're trending the right way. We're not where we want to be, but we're up about 3-4%. We've got a lot of ground to catch up. We acted very aggressively. This summer, every high school student in Yuma and La Paz County could take a class at Arizona Western College for free. Why did we do that? Because we knew a lot of students disconnected from high school over the past year and a half. We wanted to be the catalyst in this community to reconnect those folks into education. And by doing so, saying, hey, come take a class, you can take it for free. You can articulate it back to high school if maybe you didn't pass a class in the last year and a half, or you can get a head start on college. We are also offering right now, and will for both fall and spring, something we're calling a free-peat. It's exactly what it sounds like, folks. That if you took a class in the last year and a half and you didn't get the grade that you wanted, maybe because you weren't used to studying online, maybe you didn't have good internet connectivity, maybe your laptop you had to share with your brother, you didn't get the grade that you wanted. You can take that same class again. This time take it face to face, and you can take it for free.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's an educational mulligan, right? For those of you that are golfers, you get a do-over. And we're going to replace that grade with your new grade. Basically, we're saying it's been tough for everyone. Don't give up. Stay connected in higher education. Come on back to AWC. Get your educational goals back on track, and we'll get you to where you need to be. I could go on and on. I know you've got a busy agenda, so I'll leave you with this. Last year, folks, in the midst of a pandemic, Arizona Western College, your community college, awarded more associate degrees than we have ever awarded in the history of the college.
Wow.
That's not even the money line yet. Hold on.
Your 5 minutes are up.
Oh, come on. Give me 2 more, Tony. Give me 2 more. We transferred more of our students to one of the 3 state universities than we have ever in the 58-year history of the college. And more students transferring to those universities earned baccalaureate degrees from one of the 3 state universities than we have ever in the 58 history of our college. Arizona Western College is delivering on the BHAG of doubling baccalaureate attainment by 2035. It's doing so by being a good steward of the public funds. And if you know someone interested in higher ed, we got a couple of spots left for the fall. Get them back to Arizona Western College. Turn those Matadors into Sun Devils or Lumberjacks or Wildcats to serve Yuma County. So I appreciate a couple of minutes. I'd love to have you all out to the college. And today, it truly is a great day to be a Matador. Thank you very much.
Well, you guys have a tough act to follow there, especially after the first one that we had called to the public. So without further ado, we have a report from the, what is it, the Vice Chair of Visit Yuma? Because I always kind of see you as the airport lady. So Gladys Brown.
I will be more than happy to follow the first act if you like me to. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're not happy about that.
I understand you guys did it very well. And of course, we experience and understand what you go through. With that, my name is Gladys Brown. I am currently the vice chair of Visit Yuma until they elect their new board officials, but most definitely have had the pleasure of serving on their board of directors and will be transitioning back into their membership and assisting their wonderful staff. And before I start, their wonderful staff here today, of course, is Leslie McClendon, Leslie Fan, Terry in the back, and Amber as well. So these 4 lovely individuals are the solid team that assists Linda. And Linda today was not able to make it, so I'm in her place, along with our chairman, Lewis from Dell Outdoors, who is out of town as well right now. So always happy to see folks enjoying what they deserve. With that, I'm going to kind of just give you a quick overview. Linda and I have worked together to present this, and always happy to see all of your smiling faces. So Chairman Reyes and board, as you know, COVID-19 this past year has been difficult and challenging for most of us, and Visit Yuma is no different. Several challenges Visit Yuma experienced included budget cuts due to the uncertainty of travel and the projected loss of tax revenue, cancellations of many of the revenue-generating events, such as the dinners and tours, as a result of the pandemic. As it was for many and difficult to navigate the extreme differences in public opinion and whether or not Visit Yuma should be marketing Yuma as a travel destination at all during the pandemic. So a lot of that was the dove hunts, you know, do we go out and recruit and tell people about it? But what we did is we just kind of stayed pretty even-keeled and allowed folks who already knew about it to come on in, and then also support our hoteliers and restaurants, those who were able to be open during the time. It was also important for Visit Yuma to keep Yuma as an obvious destination of choice for the public when they felt comfortable to return to travel. Visit Yuma is now competing with every one of our neighboring states and cities for tourism dollars. While there were several challenges, the Visit Yuma team proudly developed and marketed the Sunny and Warm campaign to highlight our great weather and our warm hospitality. They knew that the regional travel will lead a way back to our industry. So it focused its efforts on drive markets with the understanding when people did return to travel, it would be to the rural, not urban destinations, and the choice of many would be to travel by car rather than maybe in a plane.
That was a
This
tough-
worked out well for Yuma because of our unique destination and the fact that we don't have direct flights from San Diego, nor will we ever. So those in California decided to come on down to enjoy our great waterways. Just make sure we disclaimer the fact that some folks did not travel. It was not because of the airport. It was because there's no direct flights from other locations. Visit Yuma also use their social media and videos to allow followers to stay engaged and informed. So if you haven't, please look on that website. It is absolutely fabulous for you to refer to your friends as they pick new locations to go and enjoy and travel. They were able to pull off a few of the date night dinners and history dinners using some precautions and guidelines as restaurants were using and held for a successful ag to art markets in the downtown Yuma. The Power of Travel was a fun campaign that celebrated National Travel and Tourism Week. Visit Yuma asked locals to write their best and worst travel experience. Some were funny and some were heartwarming, but what we learned that even on a bad travel experience, it is often fun to look back and to fondly remember those times. Visit Yuma relocated the Visitors Information Center administration offices into a beautiful location just right down the street here in downtown Yuma. So if you haven't looked or seen or went in there, please make your way down. As well as there's lots of wonderful things from local vendors in which folks can purchase or give as gifts. They also launched a brand new website and new membership structure that offers members more options. All in all, Yuma did not fare as badly as many other areas, and as a result, learned so much during these difficult times. The need for connection to one another was reinforced, and Visit Yuma learned that heroes come in many shapes, sizes, and uniforms. The 501c6 organizations, of which Visit Yuma is, were not eligible for the first PPP loans, but were later added. Visit Yuma took advantage of that opportunity as well as small economic injury disaster loan from the SBA so it can go into the new year economically strong. Visit Yuma will experience a year of transition. As many of you know, the organization will welcome a new executive director, and we do look forward to new ideas and fresh ideas in which you'll see as we establish that new executive director. Visit Yuma will take what they have learned and move forward for a prosperous new fiscal year. Today, we ask that Visit Yuma asks that we would welcome the opportunity to partner with Yuma County so that it could better the market, businesses, and attractions of all Yuma County. Statistics prove that for every dollar spent on tourism marketing has an average of $10 returned to the community through direct travel spending, generating tax dollars, and creating jobs. So tourism most definitely is an economic development. With that, I always welcome questions later on, and always your visit over down to the office and meeting these 4 wonderful team members who are always there, as well as an additional person that runs the front office or the Visitor Information Center. So thank you for your time, and we do hope that in the future we'll get the opportunity for Visit Yuma to be incorporated with Yuma County as a whole to make sure that we market and show and showcase everything that you see within the county. Thank you.
Mr. Brown, thank you. Mrs. Brown, thank you. And again, it's really tough for us to separate the fact that you're the airport director. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for hosting us at the Greater Yuma Port Authority meeting. It was the best one we've had so far. So.
Absolutely. So anytime we can do, as well as we do for Visit Yuma, we want to make sure that you see that leadership supports all of our organizations here that promote Yuma County as a whole. And we most definitely want you to know that everyone collectively is doing their best to highlight and showcase. And just the 1% that may not be happy, please make sure you shadow that with the 99% that truly loves Yuma County.
And thanks to Visitor Bureau. I mean, they kept the Yuma in the map, and they kept trying and trying and trying, and it was a hard time for everyone. You're great survivors.
I think with Alejandro, we'll be able to look at that partnership and what we can do to better highlight through what the organization's mission is. And so that's the real reason why we're down here, is to make sure that you understand that not just the board, but the employees as well as all of the members are very supportive in seeing what we can do collaboratively.
All right. Well, just in case you don't know, we're sending our greetings to Alejandro and congratulations. His wife just had a baby. So.
Yes, he did. So, absolutely. The other day we got to hear he was wanting advice, and we can give him a lot of advice besides just breathe.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
All right.
That was cute.
All right. When you refer to the last presentation, I'm not sure which one you were referring to, the first one that called to the public or the one the doctor made, but we think it's the one the doctor Dr. Core. All right, well, thank you very much for all those presentations. We're moving on. Thank you very much. And we're moving on to the consent calendar. And the following items are listed under the consent agenda and will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. And in that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13. Yeah, okay, you guys, yeah, okay, 13 items in the consent calendar. Does anybody want to remove anyone? I do want to remove number 6 for a brief conversation about it. I know that, the representative isn't here, but I just wanted to make sure we highlight that. So do I hear a motion to approve consent items 1 through 13 with the exception of number 6?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Then motion and second to approve consent calendar items 1 through 13 with the exception of number 6. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion carries. And item number 6 is to authorize the chairman to sign an amendment agreement between the Yuma County and the Arizona Board of Regents on behalf of the University of Arizona. Thank you very much for those who have to leave for services associated with COVID-19 early warning school testing pilot project. Said amendment to expire May 31st, 2022. I just want to emphasize that this is our pilot program to test, something that we decided to continue, even though well, let me just emphasize this. Although we technically designed it for the COVID-19 pandemic situation, the testing lab, I think, has a lot more uses than we started off at the beginning thinking about. So we're really excited to see that will continue for another year. I know we're not totally out of the pandemic, but I'm sure that kind of testing, those kind of pilot programs was necessary in the science field to come up with solutions to problems that we may not see right away. So thank you very much for the effort, and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
And a motion, a second to approve item number 6 is presented. Any discussion on the item? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And then we move on to discussion and action items. And the first one is for the Health Services District Emergency Management, discussion and possible action regarding COVID-19 updates and activities. And I do want to say that we may change that. I know we enjoy the presentations you give, but we may be taking a lot of time from your agenda and your schedule. So we will be discussing, the possibilities of you showing up when you want to, in a call to the public type of thing, not necessarily when you have to, in a call to the public thing, so that you have a choice whether you want to come or not. Right?
All right.
Okay.
Good morning, Chairman Reyes, members of the board. Just a reminder that we continue to provide COVID vaccine via our clinics Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 11:30 at the Health District. It's also readily available throughout the county at pharmacies or different providers in town. Other than that, just a reminder, as you saw on the update, back to school clinic are happening. So kids are getting ready to go back to school. We will be hosting the last 2 weeks of July, our back to school clinic from 8:30 to 4 p.m. at the Health District. So it's a good opportunity while you're going and taking your kids to the school. When they're checking in, they're checking their vaccine status. And if you don't have the vaccines current and up to date, you have an opportunity to come to our clinic, get them ready, especially the high school kids, and then just be back on track.
High school kids, what vaccines are they required to have?
So there's certain booster shots. They have the meningitis vaccine and some other vaccines that they're required to have. So they do an inventory right when you get there. Also, I believe it's the first year of college. You need a booster shot too.
Do they need to have like their vaccination record?
We can look up their vaccination record. It helps if you have it with you, but we can look it up on site. And so most of the times what we get is people that know that they need the shot, so they come in proactively. But a lot of times, especially in the high schools, you go pick up your schedule, they do an inventory, and if you don't have it, you can't complete the process till you have it, so you come back and get you taken care of.
All right. Anything else on COVID? Numbers are down.
Numbers continue to be down. Just a reminder that, if you have some hesitancy still, the vaccine, it's safe, it's free, it's available. If you are hesitant, you have some concerns, just again, a reminder that's a very personal decision. So we encourage you to talk to your healthcare professional or somebody you trust. get information from a trusted source to help you make your decision. You know, you have the variants that are continuing to spread. The Delta variant is continuing to spread across the country. It's present in our state. It's present in Yuma County. So just a reminder again that even though the numbers are up, we continue to see these variants that act in different ways. So if you have an opportunity to get your vaccine, please do so. If you have some questions, please reach out to our office or a trusted healthcare provider.
Do you have any idea at all when, if, and when a vaccine will be available, a COVID-19 vaccine will be available for kids under 12?
So both Moderna and Pfizer's a little ahead of the game, are in the process of testing that, I believe all the way to 2 years of age and up. And so we were cautiously optimistic that it would happen sometime in September, but we haven't heard anything. But it should hopefully happen in the next few months. And that will help. Right now, our vaccination rates across the state have hovered around 49%, 50%. Again, particularly in our county, we have a young county, and so we have a lot of kids that fall under the age group that haven't been vaccinated because they're not eligible to receive the vaccine yet.
Okay, you know, I continually, and I want to say this publicly, I continually give kudos to the county health department for reaching out and getting, you know, stretching out the resources out, the outlying communities. I know South County, I know that East County. I mean, you guys have been there, you continue to be present. I don't think there's any particular way anyone can say that the vaccines aren't available. As a matter of fact, we're going through a situation where we're pushing the vaccine as opposed to having people wanting it. So, well, I mean, maybe it's just, then that's not the right expression.
Reminding people that it's available and where they can go.
Yeah, you know, and it's available widely. So we continue to encourage people. Statistics show that the majority of people who are having trouble, real trouble, are not vaccinated yet. So please do your part and get a vaccine. I think after millions and millions of vaccines, there are going to be some that may not turn out to be just exactly how people expect it to be, but the opposite of that, or the other side of that, is that if you do end up with COVID-19 and end up in the hospital and end up in intensive care, you would regret not having taken the vaccine in time. Just a reminder. And I also want to talk a little bit, and not talk a little bit, but just mention the fact that you're also coordinating with other people to do other things. And it seems to me that the only thing that's really missing is some sort of a combined effort with our counterparts on the other side, because I expect that those restrictions in the border are going to be lifted sometime soon. And now I'm afraid to say, you know, after July 21st, because it never works out that way. But at some particular point in time, those restrictions are going to be lifted, and we're going to go back to realizing that this is a region where we intermingle with each other quite a bit. So to make sure, I would encourage you to get in touch with your counterpart in Mexico and see how they're doing, and see if at some particular point in time when the border opens up a little bit more, you could do a more of a combined effort to get the region covered, as opposed to getting one side of it and then the other, and looking at the other side and seeing. Do you have at all any information regarding what's going on across the board?
So throughout the pandemic, the Arizona Department of Health Services Office of Border Health hosted meetings, and so for a while they're more spaced apart now, but for a while there we were meeting on a weekly basis, and that provided an opportunity for us to not only have the conversations with the state, but also have conversations with our colleagues at the Secretaría de Salud across the border to kind of share information as far as our surveillance efforts. Arizona is one of the few states that has, we have a binational surveillance program where we're able to see, you know, any emergent disease issues on either side through the Office of Border Health. We're able to communicate that. We're able to access that information. So we continue to have that dialogue, and it's not as the pandemic, we were further into the pandemic that expanded into to acknowledge the region. So it included my colleagues from Cochise County and Santa Cruz County and their counterparts on the other side of the border. So then we were truly having those regional conversations. And so they're a little more spaced apart now, but again, we continue to have those.
Well, I want to acknowledge the presence of Tony Badilla. He came in a little bit after we started, but he's back there. And and I know that some of us are sort of like business administrators or business owners, and we're continually getting asked nowadays to have an emergency contingency plan, of some sort of plan that, you know, when there's an emergency here, which I can't, you know, really, I keep thinking emergencies are floods and hurricanes and those type of things that don't happen here. But I mean, I keep getting the response back that it could be fires, that it could be, it could be a lot of more, an earthquake or something like that. So I guess the next step for me to ask is, we do have an emergency response plan for almost any kind of contingency that we can think of, right, Tony? Yes. All right. So I just want to make sure I ask him that question in public.
Yeah,
'cause I've
I'll
been
defer.
defer. Come up, Tony.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're not getting up that easy. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Yuma County Office of Emergency Management, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, members of the board, Tony Padilla, Emergency Management. Yuma County Office of Emergency Management, in partnership with all the county departments, not only have an emergency operation plan that is a living document that we continue, and it's become a software program, and we're continuing to update it as needed. And it's a multi-hazard plan. In addition to that, we also have the multi-jurisdiction hazard mitigation plan, which was adopted by all the cities and towns and Cocopa Indian tribe. It talks about some of the things you have identified as hazards to our community: wildfires, earthquakes, floods, things like that. So we have that plan as well. And then we also have a continuity of operation plan, which is internally with the county departments. And you saw a lot of that taking place when people went home during the pandemic, work from home, work from offsite locations. And we continue to update that as necessary. Each department has a sign-in, so each department can modify that to their own individual needs. So we do have that.
Well, I mean, the answer to me would be yes, we do have a plan.
Yes.
And I probably not get into a lot of those details, but it is a question I get asked every once in a while, specifically, or maybe more because of the pandemic emergency that we ran through. I do get a lot of kudos from people outside, that think you guys did a great job. And I also think you guys did a great job. So I just wanted to let you know that.
We appreciate that. A lot of hard work from everybody.
Well, thank you very much, Tony. And again, we're going to make it so that you want to come over here instead of being forced to come over and report. All right, that takes care of item number 1. We move on to item number 2, which is to appoint 3 individuals to the 2021 Yuma County Redistricting Commission at large positions pursuant to resolution number 2021-04 adopted on May 3rd, 2021. I want to begin. Tiffany, thank you for coming over. I'm sure you're anxiously awaiting for us to finish that process, and I know I delayed it a couple of weeks because of my feelings were that we didn't have enough people applied. I did get the comments that, people who wanted to should have applied, and so I do understand that, and I just want to make sure that people know this was in no way to disrespect people who applied the first time. It was just to give us more choices, and I think that this is not as simple as the first one, where you get to appoint 2 people and those are the 2 people you choose. This is a board decision. And for that, I want to thank Susan for trying to come up with a way to sort of narrow down the number of people so that we could get an idea of who would get enough votes to get through this particular part of the process. And I do have a copy of it here. This is one of the very few times that politics do get involved in the process, and I do want to acknowledge that, and I want to try to be as fair as possible to both Republicans and Democrats that are part of this board, by making it so that we sort of go through this process with, I would say there's almost no way we can just get into a situation where we're going to vote. We're going to have to vote for these people, whomever they may be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to be as fair as possible by having supervisors name one appointee and then voting on that. And then I'll move on to the next supervisor, and then they'll make an appointment until we get all 3 of them. We may get 3 of them right away, or we may take 5 or 6 nominations before we get to the 3, but I'd like to do it so that it's fair. We're made up of 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and I'm sure that at some particular point in time, someone is going to say that matters. I'd say that what matters is that we treat the issue with respect, and that we allow people to, I don't think we want to get into the pros and the cons, or, the background of every one of these appointees, because I think at some particular point in time, that would take us a long time. I think that the fact that people applied means they know what they're applying to, and that what we look at is sort of the qualifications and who they are. And individually, we make a decision about who we think can serve best. And if I was to look at this, I would see there's some people that have, the rating next to them that probably you would think they would make it in the first round, and some people who have, a 1 next to their name, their rating, and nothing else from someone else. So it's just going to be one of those things. I'd like you to be patient. This may take very little time, or it may take a long time. And I'm going to begin by asking Supervisor Pancrase to nominate one individual, and then we'll take a vote.
Alicia Zermino.
So you nominate Alicia Cermino Aguirre.
Aguirre Zermino.
I'll need a second for that.
Yes.
I'll second.
So there's been a nomination and a second to appoint Alicia Cermeño Aguirre to one of the positions, one of the three positions. Is there any discussion before we take a vote? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Aye. So that's one appointee, three to, obviously, two, I guess.
They have name. Huh? You need to ask.
Oh, sorry, this is gonna be a roll call vote then. Oh, no, just a call. Well, why don't we do it that way? Okay, first of all, I asked who were in favor of it. There was three ayes. Who are against it? One?
Two.
I don't know, I don't know what that means, but I guess.
Mr. Chairman, it just wasn't how we kind of ranked things, and I.
Well, actually, it is. If you look at the ranking, that is the highest ranked individual. So you see, I'm trying to be fair by allowing you to
So-
nominate one.
When you
Yeah,
look,
no,
okay,
no,
the-
I understand.
If you-
the
if you-
spreadsheet, okay, the spreadsheet shows there are two individuals who received three top five votes or rankings, are Alicia Zermina Aguirre and
I
Judith
know,
Gill.
that's why I wasn't using the.
After that, there are numerous people who received two votes, and then numerous people who received one
Look,
vote
I'm taking.
within the 1 to 5
I'm taking the
range.
message, I'm allowing members, from each party to nominate someone, and I hope that we can get to the point where we appoint three people. They may be libertarians, they may be Republicans, they may be Democrats. I just want to give everybody a chance. Otherwise, you won't get a chance.
Sure, I
Right.
appreciate that.
So the next, okay, so we voted, the vote was 3-2, right? Well, I don't know about Simmons. I mean, Supervisor Simmons.
Yes.
I think Supervisor Simmons was a little reluctant to vote nay, but I think he almost was he was almost in a corner. He was
Just trying
cornered.
to figure out how to be impartial.
Well, what we're doing is here. What we're doing is trying to appoint someone with 3 votes. That's the majority of votes. And I'm trying to, again, give everyone a chance. We'll move this way instead of moving that way. This way, we may get to a point where we appoint 3 people, the first 3, or we may move on to a 4th and a 5th, depending on how many votes people get. So what would be your appointee or your nomination, Supervisor Lyons?
Howard Blitz.
All right, so Supervisor Lyons nominates Howard Blitz. Who's second the motion?
I will.
Okay, so the nomination is for Howard Blitz. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take a roll call. That way we can get the votes recorded. So,
Okay. Supervisor Lyons.
Aye.
Supervisor Simmons.
Aye.
Supervisor Pancrase. Oh. Supervisor Porches.
Aye.
Chairman Reyes.
aye. So Mr. Blitz gets the second appointment.
4-1.
All right, Supervisor Porches, your nomination.
I'm gonna nominate Judith Gill.
Is there a second?
Aye. I'll second it.
All right, so there's a nomination of Mrs. Judith Hill to the third appointee, to the third appointment. Is there any discussion on the item? If not, then I'll take a roll call.
Supervisor Porches.
Aye.
Supervisor Pancrase.
Aye.
Supervisor Lyons.
Nay.
Supervisor Simmons.
Aye.
Nay. Chairman Reyes.
Aye.
The motion carries 3-2.
You have the 3 members. See, it didn't take that long. All right, I know this is a tough one, and I know that maybe some people will complain about the way it was done or who ended up getting appointed, but I think there was almost no way to get through it. There's
Well,
3.
Okay, but
I'm not going to nominate anyone. There's 3 members that have been appointed. I don't think we get a chance, Mr. Simmons and I, to nominate anyone. There have been 3 appointments. That's it. Are we supposed to appoint 3 people?
Yes.
That's it. We appointed 3 people by 3-2 votes sometimes and a 4-1 vote the other way.
Thank you, Chairman Reyes and members of the board. I will make sure that those individuals are notified of the first redistricting advisory commission meeting, which will be held on July 29th at 4 p.m. at the Department of Development Services.
And to everyone else that didn't get to a vote, I want to thank you. I think everyone that applied was worthy of looking at him or them And I just know that this was going to be a tough decision. And I just wanted to be, again, as fair as possible and give at least an opportunity to someone that may not have been necessarily of the right party or the right disposition or the right whatever. This way, I think we got through it, and no matter how we did it, it's going to be a little controversial. So,
And we were grateful for the 20 individuals
Definitely.
in the public that did apply. That makes us hopeful that we'll have a lot of public participation throughout this redistricting process.
yeah, and we'll try to leave them as free as possible of our comments and conversations. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next item, guys. The next item is discussion and possible action regarding the adoption of 2022 legislative proposals to be submitted by Yuma County for consideration at the annual County Supervisors Association, which is a legislative summit to be held September 29 through October 1st. Yeah.
Chairman
Oh,
Reyes.
yes, wait a minute. Let me acknowledge you were the happy member of the staff that was in our video. So better be like cheerful and
Keep smiling.
keep smiling through the process.
Chairman Reyes, members of the board, Ian McGahey, Deputy County Administrator. I'm filling in for Economic Development Director, Intergovernmental Affairs Director, Alejandro Figueroa, who you acknowledged had a daughter earlier.
A new baby girl.
So now that the 55th legislature has come to a close, it's time to begin discussions concerning legislative priorities for the next legislative session. Each of Arizona's 15 counties is invited to submit proposals to the County Supervisors Association for consideration at its annual Legislative Policy Summit, this year to be held in Yavapai County, September 29th through October 1st. In the 55th legislative session, 2 of the CSA's 8 legislative priorities were enacted. One regarded better defining military leave pay, and the other required write-in candidates to have the same residency requirements as typical or other candidates. In preparation for submittal to the CSA, county staff will take any legislative policy proposals you may have, draft them, and present the proposals to you for consideration and potential support. This item will appear again on the agenda for the next regular board meeting on July 19th. The deadline to submit legislative policy proposals to CSA is August 9th, so we do have some time and we can revisit this in the August 2nd board meeting if needed. So with that, I'll defer to the board for any discussion you may wish to have at this time.
Thank you. Does any board member already know they're going to be there? Or planning to be there? I'm planning to be there.
Me too.
And I think everyone should be. They should be planning to be there. It's going to be a very important one after that, really having one last year. We had one, but it was kind of difficult to get through. So please plan to be there. And between now and then, I think Alejandro is going to be asked to stretch a little bit and, get us some guidance. We always go to the CSA. I think we have a bigger amount of influence than a county our size actually has. It's always been, this county's always been well represented by the board members, and I think it will continue to be so with the members that we currently have. So looking forward to it. Right, thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item in the agenda is also for county administration, but this is facility management, and we listen to the details regarding the option of leasing additional facility space at 102 South Main Street to be utilized by the recorder and election service departments on a temporary basis while the new administration builds under construction, and provide direction with regards to a potential lease agreement. Before you begin, let me make a point of clarification, or try to make a point of clarification, that how you post the item in the agenda, it's become an issue to me. If you don't post it in a way that we can make a decision, if you list it like less into details, that may be your purpose. In other words, you may just be wanting to advise us of something, but it leaves us very little leeway to give you more direction that's more specific, like do it or something like that. We had that issue come up last time with the decision that we didn't make when we came back. We didn't make it. So I just wanted to make sure that we pay a little more attention to how we list the items in the agenda, so that it allows us to make a decision, a yes or no type thing. I know that sometimes all you want is direction, and this may be one of those cases, but if you wanted action on it, the way you list it, it's kind of a little.
Provide direction with regards to a potential lease agreement. So you can say, go do it. That's providing direction.
I hope that the attorneys are listening to that and are saying, yeah, that's right.
But it could. We'll make sure that it's
Okay,
discussion and
you know what I'm
direction.
saying, right? I think you understand what I'm saying. If you don't list it as taking action, you know, if it's provide direction, it only allows you to go ahead and find out for us. Sometimes we might be ready to make a decision and we won't be able to do it this way because all we can do is provide direction, not approve or disapprove whatever you need or want. I'm gonna let you do the presentation and then tell you what the direction will be.
Chairman Reyes, thank you, and members of the board, Dave Hillen, Director of Facilities Management. We are talking about the possibility of looking at a space for recorder and election services during the construction of the new. This all ties back to the new administration building project being constructed across the street at 197 Main. And just to provide a little bit of background to tie that all together, when we realized this was the direction we're going with this project in terms of constructing a facility at that location, we immediately began recognizing the fact that the tenants of the building, the assessor, recorder, treasurer, and election services all would need space to operate while the project was underway. We began looking, our first priority was to attempt to use available space in existing county facilities to pull this off, going back quite some time. Matter of fact, we looked at the space just up the road here, 145 South 2nd, which is where risk management is located, as a potential space for at least a portion of that, as well as looking at development services, which has been analyzed a number of times, and then looking at ways to maybe use that space as well. As a matter of fact, when we started focusing in on the facility, the lease agreement that you just approved on 4th Avenue, at that same time, the recorder and elections were touring development services and trying to come up with a scenario where that would work for their operations. What we've hand in hand with that, what we've discovered, especially over the past year, is that to successfully pull off all the various steps involved with the election process, there's some very unique space requirements that come into play to be able to provide all the different scenarios that are needed, whether it's space that's available to the public or viewable to the public or completely secured and safe. So that came into play, and the end result of looking at the space and development services was the fact that, yes, there is space, but because of the availability of it for extended periods of time, the impact of other commissions, committees, and groups that use those space, such as Aldrich Hall, such as the Gold Conference Room there, it really wasn't going to work out in the best scenario for an election scenario. So again, this is the facility with the lease agreement we just agreed upon at 2550 South 4th Avenue. Upon realizing that development service wasn't going to provide the type of space on an ongoing basis, we flipped the script a little bit and began looking at whether we could work with the recorder and elections in addition to the treasurer and assessor in this facility. Some of you can kind of see that this building is divided essentially into 3 areas. It's actually, I think this was the original construction, and then it was added onto in the front and the back. We have this lined up perfectly for the treasurer to operate on the east side of the facility. The assessor taking up most of the center portion. We began looking at whether we could operate with the recorder and elections on this back side. Immediately we saw that was a bit of a disadvantage in asking the public to come around to the back to enter to whether it was for voter registration or an actual election. The other challenge we had with this is, as you can see from 4th Avenue, the bulk of the parking is in the back as well. And this is not a completely accurate Google Earth image in that there is actually a secured area here for parking, so which wouldn't necessarily be readily available for public either. So in addition to that, the interior space, this is the current.
Can you back up on that picture?
Yes.
Is that area down there that looks blank, the one up on the up on the top? There seems to be a lot of, up a little higher there. All that area between that and the other end of the street, the 4th Avenue.
What is that?
What is that? I mean,
it is parking lot. It hasn't been. It looks like at the time this photo was taken, it looks like the recent seal coating maybe only went to here.
Maybe we can negotiate with the owner to do that.
It actually was included all the way up to this point here. This is another
what I'm
business
saying,
here.
negotiate with him to actually turn it into a paved parking lot.
It is paved, and actually it is in better condition than what's shown here. However, there's a row of parking here, and then there's actually parallel spaces
I'm
right
talking
along the
for
wall.
employees, for example, David. If we wanted to allow all the public to park in that other facility, we may be able to park all employees in that area that doesn't look paved, that is paved, as an option. Well, anyway.
We looked at a couple scenarios and ways to essentially maximize parking for this, and we'll need every space we can get regardless. The only area is here that goes with this additional business that's not associated with this property.
So it's not even, so it's not the whole facility.
Again, this is the current floor plan that we're looking at to accommodate the treasurer on this end and the assessor in the bulk. And as we tried to determine whether the recorder and elections could work at the west side of the building, what we found, what we're kind of bumping up against was that we were essentially wanting to rob space from the assessor to make that work and still coming up short. So we didn't want to wind up with two departments that were deficient in terms of space and layout. So the way we're looking at it right now, all this space really to about this point and all throughout here would be for the assessor, which it's actually less square footage than they currently have across the street, but it's a little bit more efficient layout actually than they have now. Entrance here, lobby, front counter area. And then the remainder of this area here on the edge will be usable space for a lot of the materials that are stored in the basement across the street as well that we need space to accommodate. The treasurer will have a very nice setup here, again, front counter and entrance here off the east side. Again, parking on both sides to access that area. So realizing that it was probably not the best fit for the recording elections, we began looking at some options. And all the red stars here indicate the building we're in now at 198 and across the street at 197, as well as that building we were just talking about here on 4th Avenue at 2550. All the other blue markers indicate areas that we investigated to some degree or another, whether it would be a good fit for the recording elections. For one reason or another, they've all been eliminated except for this one here, which we're discussing today. The building here, we have talked about this in here before as a possible, it's been listed for sale for a period of time. We talked about back before we settled on option number 3, whether that might be a good fit for an auditorium or something along those lines. Only very recently, about 2 weeks ago, did the owner approach the county and say, you know what, I would be willing to consider leasing if it's for an extended period of time. So that's a new option, and it seems to be a good fit for our needs. Obviously, the location, in close proximity to our other facilities here. This is the current layout floor plan of the building. Entry here off of Main Street, and a large open space in the middle, surrounded on 2 sides by offices and work areas that need no additional modification to them whatsoever. We can simply move in and start utilizing, as well as a divider wall to separate public from back of house area for storage and things like that. There's a freight elevator right here in this corner to go down to the basement. The basement covers underneath half of the building, the west half. There is an overhead door here opening up out to the parking lot to the west, as well as a staff or emergency exit door up here. The rest of this is restrooms and stairways and things of that nature. This is a conceptual plan of how we could utilize this space. The lines in green essentially represent a new divider wall, and we would work with an architect to finalize these plans. But what this allows us for, again, with entrance here from Main Street, in a row of front counter space, two stations for the recording division, 2 for voter registration and 1 for election services, a large, approximately 1,000 square foot open area for elections or for equipment, and then back work areas, cubicle type of workstations here for staff. Again, reusing these office areas and workstations in this area, providing secure storage area for equipment and ballots and all that kind of stuff. And I should mention that, again, Ms. Tiffany Anderson is here if you have any questions about the need for these specific sorts of spaces and any details with regards to that.
Where would people vote? Can you go back again? Where would they vote in here?
In the middle, that large area. Yeah.
And this is maybe not, again, we'll fine tune the design. These stations may end up being a little bit narrower to open this up a little bit further. But it may be a little bit difficult to gauge the space, but it's a fairly large open space.
Yeah, it is.
It's probably 2/3, 3/4 of this room.
It's bigger than that, isn't it?
Overall, right now, it's this full area here.
Yeah.
Dave?
Yes.
Does it meet electrical and like IT needs? Since it's such an old building?
It does. They have a fairly decent, we toured the site with our IT folk and security systems staff.
It is not to the degree of the other building on Fourth Avenue. The building on Fourth Avenue that we just agreed to is in exceptional condition for that sort of thing. It's ready to move in and start using pretty much right away. This would require a little bit more work, but you'll see on the timeline I'm proposing that we would have time to do what we need to do there.
Okay.
Electrically, not an issue. The infrastructure for low voltage security systems and things like that needs a little addition to it.
Okay, so the bottom line is that the decision we took to actually lease the building on Fourth Avenue has worked out relatively well, but the space is limited. So instead of trying to squeeze everyone into that building, you guys have found an option that works for the elections department, that is nearby, that is adaptable, that can be ready within the timeframes that we wanted. Now, the next question to me is it in a way that, I mean, look, I hate to lease something we could buy, especially if it's a building like that one here nearby where we'll have some additional space. So how much is that? Do you have any idea what you lease it for yet?
Yes, this is where the discussion is as of right now. The original proposal was for $1.10 per square foot across the board, which would have resulted in about a $15,000+ a month payment. We're currently in this range here at $1 square foot. And just as a comparison, all those other sites that we looked at, the range for general office space rental has been about $1 to $1.25 per square foot. So this is trending towards the low end of that. For storage, such as this basement space, we've seen from 70 cents to 90 cents per square foot. So we're a little bit under there. And then this mezzanine space, which for us there is a conference room that is usable. It's a kind of a narrow, steep stairway. It probably about half of that square footage. The rest of that is really not occupiable space. So therefore we got a very low per square foot cost. So anyway, we're looking at a total of about $12,000 a month, which spread out over the construction project timeline, $146 a year or $438.
So my question is, wouldn't it be better just to negotiate to purchase it? I think anytime you pay a lease, you're just paying rent, basically. And that's just the cost of the lease. Now, the cost of the on-site improvements may reach another couple of $100,000 or more, I think, if you really want to do it right. So if we end up spending $600,000 or $700,000 or $800,000 in it over 2 years, 3 years, why wouldn't we just simply negotiate it and buy it and then have it for whatever purposes we deem fit in the future? I think the last time we're talking about it, it was in the range of $1 million, wasn't it?
Dave, could you speak to the issue of what it's going to take to actually do a little bit of build out there? I don't
Well,
think it's going to be $200,000.
let me get through this issue, and then we'll talk about the improvements that it will take. Because even if it was just lease payment, paying $500,000 worth of lease payments to get on a building that's worth $1 million, and then just dropping all the improvements that we're going to make into it, whatever they may be, that is not a smart choice to me. I would rather much see you negotiate, if we could, give you instructions to see, again, purchasing the property as opposed to leasing the property. That way, when we make improvements to it, there are improvements. They will be spent on our building as opposed to someone else's building, which will only make it a better building that we will later on try to buy for more.
The question that comes to mind is the fact that if we want to improve this for this purpose, the new building being built across the street incorporates that already. So a decision would need to be made whether we're going to make this a permanent election center, set it up that way permanently and not have that activity there, or some other. So
some of the equipment you're moving can be moved back. I mean, especially the heavy equipment, the counting machines, those kind of things. I still feel like spending $500,000 on a building that we could buy for $1 million, it's not a good investment in my book. And because we're in that situation in the county where we may have some leeway in terms of funding to do this type of things, I'd rather you look into, what is it willing to sell it for an appraised price.
It is listed for sale, I can tell you that much. Whether if you direct me to pursue that option, I'm more than happy to do so.
Well, I don't know about the rest of the board. That was my view. I don't.
I think it'd be worth looking into.
What do you think?
I mean, I see your point, but I mean, we're leasing that for 3 years. I mean, it's not for 1 year. I mean, did I see the amount? I mean, the money, it's gonna be within 3 years. But I do understand. I mean, one thing I wouldn't want to have the those two departments there, make it their, building. I mean, I don't see it, I see problems in the future. So, I mean, if we're building something new, they're gonna be there. But also, if we buy it, we gotta have a plan for the future. I mean, it's not something, what are we gonna do? I mean, I know we can sell it but I mean, we gotta have a plan.
Right.
And in relation to that, keep in mind that this building itself will also be vacated, so.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what I think again, because I normally do that. What I think is that if we plan to do something in 3 years, it will take us 5. What I think sometimes is that we plan for a short period of time, and it ends up being a longer period of time. We plan for a certain amount, it ends up being more. The only thing that's stable right now is the price of the building. The only thing that I know of is that we're gonna spend more money just to make it usable. And the only thing I don't know is how long we're gonna be there. That 3 years could turn into 5. And now I'd rather own the building and not have to renegotiate an extended lease. To me, almost everything that my senses pick up is, why would you wanna do that? You wanna do that if you can't do the other one, which is buy it. Now, I have a feeling that if we're planning to pay for 3 years, we may end up paying for 5. Because the way that things go with construction, design, I mean, we've been building a new building for 3 years now, and we haven't even moved one stone yet. And I'm not even sure, but I think you guys may have to be reelected to see it.
Russell's not here, so
Russell's the only one, yeah. And look, the way I'm talking, I may not be here, by the time you guys get through building a building. But what I tell you right now is this government moves really slow. And when we plan for 3 years, I think 5, it's probably more within that scope, but whatever. Leasing the 4th Avenue building was an option that I think we couldn't get away with. We needed a place to put everybody. That wasn't a choice. But the second choice, the one where we move a department that is across the street into a building that we lease, doesn't appeal to me. And yes, we may have to start planning what we're gonna do with the building later, but it's a lot better than planning to renew a lease on a building that we could have. Go ahead.
The recorder and the elections need that building for the 2024 elections. So if our building isn't ready to be moved into by 2023, so that they can get ready to do, this is not me saying this, this is him saying it at another meeting, but he doesn't talk, so I'm talking.
How about,
So,
Chair?
Sure.
How about if, we give direction or we make a decision on the lease and maybe, explore the option
with an option to buy?
Yeah, and come back and we talk about the buying.
A 1-year lease.
That's not a
with an
problem with
option
me,
to
as
buy.
long as that option to purchase is there.
Yeah.
And if it's a lease purchase, fine, but a lease, outright lease, maybe he can give us credit. That's what we'll find out.
No, but he said that was an option that was available.
Yeah, the owner did express an interest that he would be willing to consider a lease purchase.
Did we have that proposal?
Do we have
We
it?
haven't-
I don't have details of how that
I
would
think
look
what
like.
we have is Mr. Hyman telling us.
As I recall, maybe Susan has more information, but the last time we looked at that, it was like
990,000.
Yeah, but
That
remember.
was his marketed price.
That
It
was
wasn't
his.
an
It
appraisal.
wasn't
That's right.
appraisal.
We have
That's
not,
right.
so if you want to direct us to do an appraisal, we would be able to do that as well.
Yeah, I
To
would
find out
like
what the
to-
price is, because
I
we
would
can't
like
pay
to see
more
an
than the
appraisal
appraisal.
done, and so we can actually, compare apples to apples.
And
instead
it
apples to
seems, although I hate to contradict him, but I hadn't seen this presentation before, I think we need to look at a 4-year lease, because if you're talking about the 2024 election, it has to
You
be
can't
past
move,
3
you
years.
can't move in that new building and be ready.
Yeah.
You can't come.
Saying the start date is.
Well, even if it's longer, dude, it's worse.
Yeah, as multiple people have said, my crystal ball is not great beyond a certain point. This is where we are now in the overall process. This reflects the purchase of the building across the street. And we are preparing to present to the board an architect and engineer contract to design the building at the August 2nd board meeting. We'll then, assuming that's approved, enter the design phase, which will extend into 2022. From there, yes, there's a lot of variables that come into play. Depending on the way we deliver the project, if it's a hard bid project, it very well could follow this path line. best case scenario, we're looking at completing construction at the end of 2023 with move-in at the first part of 2024.
You don't want to be moving elections at that time.
What I asked each department to do, and again, Tiffany provided me with some good information about blocks of time that are not good for moving out, moving in. They're in the pink color here, so where you see DND, we call it a do not disturb. Let them do their thing, and we'll look at other times when we need to move in or move out. So we've identified here early part of 2022 is a good time to move into a temporary facility, and roughly April of 2024 after the presidential preference election. Thank you very much. Early part of 24 is a good window of time to move back into a new facility if it's ready to go.
Mr.
Supervisor
Chairman,
Pancrazi, and
with all the people that I've talked to and the limited amount of folks having to be able to get, limited number of builders able to get the supplies that they need to build and the people to do the construction, at this point in time, I can't see it not taking 5 years. So 5-year lease on that property brings it up to almost the sales price, within $200,000 of the sales price. Well, what was listed way back then. So close in my just general estimation. So it seems to me that, because it's going to take 5 years at least to get this building demolished and built because of.
yeah, whether it takes 3 or whether it takes 4 or whether it takes 5, the issue to me is whether you want to be renegotiating leases or you want to negotiate a long-term lease. And if it's a long-term lease with a purchase option at the end, it may be the solution to this particular conundrum here. But I think that from the beginning, having the building at our disposal makes it easier for us to plan, if anything happens. In other words, that would be the contingency plan. If we can't get everybody else back into the new building by 2024, then that building will remain as the elections place. And people would be used to going to that corner and voting. So to me, it's a win-win situation. We need to lease a place where they can be for a long time. Not knowing if the place is ours, if it's on the lease, doesn't make me feel any secure. I believe real estate prices are going to go up relatively soon, no matter what. And that building isn't going to be available. The appraisal price of every building that I've seen so far has gone up. Hasn't gone down. So why wait another 2 or 3 years to negotiate a purchase price? Why don't we just negotiate a purchase price and then deal with whether we need to lease purchase it or whether we have to, or whether we outright want to do that. I hate to put leasehold improvements or improvements in a building that isn't ours. Those are technical, sometimes very highly technical improvements that you have to make to a building to make sure it's a secure building. I'm not even going to get into the details of running a secure election. I'm just saying, look, do it on a leased building doesn't appeal to me. Do it in a county building, county-owned building, makes sense to me. That is just, again, the way I see it. Now, if you need directions, my particular one, and I think the board may or may not agree, is to go back to the owner and say, would you take an appraised purchase price as opposed to a lease? And if not, then give me the 2 options. Give me a lease purchase or a purchase price, and then we'll take it from there. We need to make this decision relatively soon because things have to be done before the 2022 election. And so they need to start moving this year.
They
Okay?
need to move right now.
Now, what do you guys think?
No, I'm
Okay with
I
that?
think, but
Okay with that?
well, is the direction to lease?
The direction is to go ahead and find out if there's a lease purchase option or a purchase outright option, and then bring it back to us and see what they look like for 3 to 5 years. Okay?
So, Mr. Chair, we're not going to vote on this lease.
No,
correct?
well,
Okay.
I don't think we have a lease, do we?
Yeah, well, that's what he presented for the.
These are just the numbers. We don't have a lease agreement yet. We would use the other as a template.
Just terms.
To develop it. Yeah. Yes.
So we would ask
we
that
would
you would
then-
provide direction to Dave Hillen to negotiate a final lease price for up
Or a
to
purchase
4
price.
years.
Oh, well, get to it.
In addition to a lease purchase, but we would have to do an appraisal, so you need to give direction to get an appraisal done because we can't pay more than the appraisal. And then we'll bring both of those options back to you for final consideration as quickly as possible because we don't want to we need to have an answer for the recorder in elections as soon as, so they know where they're going and we
So
have some
moved.
certainty. So we'll bring it back to you as soon as possible.
All right.
All of that, so moved. No? Okay.
So no motion, right? Just direction.
Just direction.
You can vote on it?
You can vote on something that's
Okay.
given direction.
All right,
to
so,
staff.
well, the motion is to go ahead and do just exactly what was said, which is to go ahead and negotiate a lease and then negotiate and start the process of an appraisal
And
if
an
the
appraisal.
owner, and if it's listed, the owner wants to sell it.
That's
Okay,
correct.
I think that the question of whether he wants to sell it or not is just moot. I mean, he's listing it for sale. So the decision that we need to make is whether we want to go ahead and order an appraisal to see if we can, what's the best option, right? So just to clear that out, the motion is to go ahead and give you directions to basically acknowledge that we want the building. We'd like to see an appraisal to choose between a lease of 3 to 5 years or an option to purchase with the appraisal, right? Is that any more confusing than it was? No? Okay, well then is that the motion?
But purchase at the appraised value.
Yeah, it's gotta be. We can't make any other kind of decision. Is there a second?
Second?
Is motion second to go ahead as directed? I'm not gonna repeat that. Yeah. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. There's your direction.
Thank you. Got it.
All right,
Thank you, Dave.
thank you.
That might be the new building for the elections or recorders. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be it. We're not getting you back into
I'm
the
just
new building. Let's move on. We have an action there that I'm gonna move to the end of the meeting, okay? It's item number 4. It would be done after the executive session that we're planning to have once we finish the regular items for discussion. So the next item in the agenda will be a discussion regarding legislative issues. That's it. So number 1 is discussion and possible action regarding the following legislative issues. A report to the Board of Supervisors regarding proposed bills in the, if there's any bills in front of the Arizona State Legislature, we got problems because they're not meeting until next year, hopefully.
Thank
And
goodness.
update regarding strategies relating to federal, now those federal legislative priority. I would more likely, Ian, like to see what the outcome of that legislative year was.
I will do my best, Mr. Chairman. Again, Ian McGahee, Deputy County Administrator, filling in for Mr. Figueroa. Here we go with a legislative update. After 171 days, on the last day of the fiscal year, the 55th Legislature first regular session officially came to a close last Wednesday. After a difficult budget cycle, all budget bills were sent to the governor, which he signed without any line item vetoes. The $12.8 billion budget includes a $1.3 billion tax cut, which is set to rise to $1.9 billion as a 2.5% flat tax is phased in over 3 years. So a couple items I wanted to mention particular to Yuma County. $5 million was appropriated for the purposes of relocating the Yuma County Fairgrounds. As you know, Representative Tim Dunn led the charge on this, and we thank him and his colleagues for seeing this through. Meanwhile, Representative Joanne Osborne's effort to increase broadband funding across the state, particularly for rural areas, was a success, with $140 million being set aside for investment in broadband, and that includes $40 million for further smart highway investment west of I-17 on I-40, and $100 million in broadband grants through the Arizona Commerce Authority, with a split of $75 million to rural and $25 million to urban areas. There's a $10 million appropriation to improve State Route 95 near the Yuma Proving Ground. So that was more than we anticipated, which is
That's
great.
46 million next to it to get to Mojave County. So that's a lot of investment on Route 95. Together, that's almost 60 million bucks.
Yes, sir. The Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs provided funding that includes $2.5 million to Yuma County for body-worn camera redactions and $675,000 to the Yuma County Sheriff's Office to reduce human trafficking.
Which we should remind everybody, that comes with certain restrictions about having access to that footage. Is that the same thing with this? I mean,
I'm not an expert on redacting body-worn cameras, but yes, I believe you're correct. I can get you more information on that. I don't know the answer, honestly. Also passed was a reduction in the property tax assessment ratio for most commercial property. This will be staggered in phases, going from 18% down to 16% in 0.5% increments each year to 2025. You will remember that the County Supervisors Association had strongly opposed this measure, fearing that it will shift a large amount of future property tax burden to homeowners. And speaking of CSA, they'll be hosting a wrap-up webinar next Friday, July 16th, where they will take a deeper dive into what happened this session, what passed, what failed, and what the impact on counties will be. This webinar will be at 10 a.m. on the 16th. It will be a virtual Zoom meeting.
Before you move out of that, there was an allocation for the Somerton School, high school. Is that part of the budget, or was that separately? You don't know?
I don't know. I know that there were funds moving forward to that, but I don't know if there's a separate bill or part of the budget.
Oh, okay, well then.
There is good, it's good news.
That's good news.
Yeah, that's true. And I believe that was Drew John who was largely involved with that effort, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Well.
Okay, where are we? In other news, U.S. Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that the 2016 Arizona law against ballot harvesting is constitutional. The ruling affirms the prohibition of unions and other advocacy organizations from collecting voters' mail-in ballots. It also invalidates ballots cast in the wrong precinct. In his majority opinion, Associate Justice Samuel Alito wrote that states have a legitimate interest in passing voting laws in an effort to prevent fraud. In her dissent, Associate Justice Elena Kagan called the majority opinion tragic, saying it further erodes voting rights and will make it harder for minorities to vote.
Let me, before you leave that, I understand those arguments. I just don't understand where they fit on that ballots cast in the wrong precinct. We have a system now that allows anyone to vote anywhere. So how does that apply to our system of, what do we call that, our system?
We have vote centers, so it wouldn't apply to us. If people are doing, if communities are using precinct voting and someone's voting at the wrong precinct, that's what it refers to. But we have vote centers, so that wouldn't apply to Yuma County.
That's what I mean. So I don't understand how that prevents fraud.
Not all of Arizona is the same.
Oh, so you would be fraudulent to try to vote in somebody else's precinct? Is that what the intent of that is? I mean,
not everybody has
where they have precinct voting.
Well, they have precinct voting. They're trying to say that people who vote in a different precinct shouldn't be counted because they're trying to, what, influence the other precinct?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's a little bit of a stretch for me, but it's okay. I mean, fortunately, I'm not. Fortunately for everyone.
Fortunately, we're not
Supreme
in,
Court.
yeah, we do vote centers, so.
Okay.
Might be worthwhile for all of them to do vote centers. Can they change?
Yes, they can.
They can change to vote centers?
Yes.
Good, okay.
Staying on the federal side of things, the U.S. Senate's expected to move forward on a bipartisan framework and budget resolution next week as part of the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. This bill includes $579 billion in new spending, putting more than $300 billion into transportation and more than $250 billion into power, broadband, and water infrastructure. The outcome is far from certain, as President Biden and his administration is expected to engage with lawmakers in negotiations moving forward. So meanwhile, back in Arizona, wildfires continue to wreak havoc across the state. As of Friday, there were 19 active fires reported, the largest being the Telegraph Fire near Superior, estimated at nearly 200,000 acres in size. Thankfully, that's now 100% contained. The Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management announced they have ordered closures on state trust land in all 15 counties. All state-owned and managed lands are closed to entry for recreational purposes, including hunting, camping, and off-road vehicle use. And finally, you may recall the Arizona Back to Work Plan Governor Doug Ducey announced in May. This program takes effect this Saturday, at which time Arizona will no longer be taking the federal pandemic unemployment compensation, and instead will offer a one-time $2,000 back-to-work bonus for eligible workers through Labor Day. Many employers around the state, including here in Yuma County, reported having trouble competing with the federal government's unemployment payments, which in some cases paid more than an actual job. Excuse me. So that is my report. Be happy to take any questions you may have. And remember, I'm filling in.
That's fine. I mean, that last comment really struck home, because if somebody's, being reluctant to go back into work because they get paid more from the federal government, there's actually an issue with that, right? Yeah. But, it's just which way you look at it. I mean, anybody that is getting paid more to not work, really, the job may be one of those jobs that they pay you very little. So, it just offsets that. And let's go over to something else. Okay, Aeon, thank you very much. You have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I met with a couple of individuals yesterday who are property owners in Yuma, and they raised concerns with the next federal legislative priorities, in that they are concerned about the direction to do away with 1031 exchanges, which would severely impact and limit investments into our county, into the state generally. And so that is one of the federal priorities of the new administration.
Oh.
Just to do
Yeah,
away with
and
them.
it's also concerning to us. We're going back to the time where we argued the PM10 issue
Mhm.
from the losing side.
Correct.
It's sort of.
So that's something to pay attention to.
Very good.
Yeah, and the PM10 issue is also something that we need to go back, because, all of a sudden we're going to be, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, on that topic, John Smith, you were nodding your head. Did you have any additional information that I may have missed on that?
1031?
1031 exchanges?
I guess I lost my poker face. No, I don't.
Okay. but you did hear of it?
I just agreed with.
Okay, all right. All right.
Okay, so nothing to add. As a true attorney, right? Okay, so anything else, Ian?
No, sir.
Right.
Thank
I
you.
do want to thank specifically Reset Area, who's been keeping track of the bill to gather enough funding for the San Luis Port of Entry through Senator Skelly's office. That is something that we need to continue to support. It is something that, it's like everything in the federal government, the monies has been allocated to do certain part of it. And so they're planning for certain part of it. And, we go back to square one. What we do is half a project or 3/4 of a project. So they're trying to put it all together. Obviously, the numbers, and I hate repeating that, but it's the truth, that the numbers keep increasing as time goes by. And a project that 10 years ago was a $65 million project, right now is a $250 million, or $300 million. It's just, and when we're talking about those numbers, it's just staggering. The numbers we're talking about now, we're not talking billions
Talking about
anymore.
the county or the?
We're talking about the county. Yeah, the county. The numbers are staggering. But anyway, thank you very much for the report, Ian. Anything else, guys, before we let them go? Okay, all right. So we'll wait for Alex to give him a hard time. So the next item in the agenda is events. Board members and county administrators will report on and may discuss events attended or to be attended on behalf of the county, may present a brief summary of current events, and may update the schedule for future board meetings as appropriate. No legal action will be taken. Supervisor Pancrati?
Because of the holidays, there were fewer meetings, but I attended the Chamber of Transportation meeting. I attended YMPO meeting. I attended both the budget meetings on the 28th and the 30th here at the Board of Supervisors, and today I will be touring the ICE facility. So.
All right. Supervisor Lane?
Just met with a number of constituents yesterday. Spoke with Susan regarding some information that had been left on the old planning and zoning, to be able to provide that to some people who are considering some investments here in Yuma County, and a number of other conversations working up to and finalizing the budget.
All right. Supervisor Simmons?
Had a court meeting, met with a couple of subjects who are looking at investing some money out in East County with a new business. Talked to them, had an election advisory board meeting, again, multiple board meetings. Um, Set in on the YPG meeting, reference their compatibility study that they're doing. And I
Yeah, that
also
was good.
attended a new senior living center out in the foothills that's due to open August 2nd, back over off Fortuna. Really nice place. But they're looking, I'm trying to remember the number of people. I want to say there was like 90 is what it'll hold. But it's really a nice place back there behind the Pizza Hut. They gave me a tour of the facility and stuff. That's about it.
Thank you. Supervisor Borges?
Attended the YMPO meeting. That was the first time I got to see the new building that the YMPO is in now. So they're having the meetings in person, or you can still call in. And I attended the 4th of July festivities in Somerton for a while. And also, I just, I mentioned this earlier, but there's been quite a few accidents on Avenue B between County 17 and 19th. And I know I haven't been down there. I don't know if it's the 3-lane, if it's, but there's been some head-on collisions. I mean,
I'm a little confused because the accidents that I hear and that I see are between County 19 and County 23rd, which is where that building is, that big building, and the connection to 195. But you mentioned 17 to 19.
Yeah.
That's where we have a turning lane and everything.
Yeah.
That's the area we just improved.
I mean, there was an accident yesterday right there.
Yeah.
2 cars, I mean, head-on collision, I believe. There was,
Mhm.
3 weeks ago, 2 people that I think that died right in that same area.
Yeah.
Right next to the dates there. So.
Okay, so.
I mean, it's getting to the point that, when people are dying, and just because, I mean, people are going to speed no matter what.
That's a 45-mile-an-hour limit. I mean, I know because I exceed it all the time. Not with the county sheriff present, but I try not to. But I mean, it's weird because that was a very narrow 2-lane highway not too long ago. Very narrow. And we had problems, but it was at the intersection of County 19 and Avenue B. We had a lot of problems there. There was a street light, I mean, not a street. There was signal light put in there that helped with the intersection. And then I thought we were starting to have a lot of problems, people trying to pass on that 50-mile-an-hour zone between 19 and 23rd, which is where I've seen all those deaths that I'm not familiar with this latest one, but that stretch of road to me is simply the fact that everybody just goes down that road to get to San Luis. Nobody goes down to Airview Road and comes around, or nobody tries to go down Highway 95 anymore. They all try to go to Avenue B. I'm moving it. So, it's you have a point.
Yeah,
and the point is to do
something
an
maybe,
analysis.
just to
keep an eye on.
Keep an eye but there is a lot of accidents. I don't know if that street light made it worse, or because if it's green, or they're trying to beat the light.
Whoa. Yeah, probably. I
That's-
don't know,
I mean,
people.
That's kind of.
All right, well, yeah, we keep an eye on it. It really is a difficult situation because as county officials, we always end up in a situation where we have to have numbers to prove the need. Otherwise it becomes like that intersection, that famous intersection near Somerton, on Somerton Avenue and County, I don't remember.
All those
It was a
accidents, but
big
there's
deal.
not enough.
So I'm moving this on for the purposes of having, for brevity purposes. We're moving this on. So, County 19, record noted. I attended the WECA Executive Board meeting. I think Mr. Simmons already did a report. I can go back to him if you want to spend a little more time. So I attended the WECA Executive Board meeting. I also attended the Greater Yuma Port Authority at the airport. Again, it's a great meeting. I went to all the 4th of July events that I could. And again, I got a lot of kudos for the one in Somerton and the one in San Luis, they were put up in a really fast period of time.
I saw you on Facebook.
Oh my God, you should have changed that. The thing that I want to emphasize is this. I think we ask of our state legislators a lot. We ask them to support, projects in Yuma County. We ask them to stand up for us in different issues. I think that we need to, as a board of supervisors, probably write a letter of thanks, regardless of which party they belong to. They have always been very supportive, regardless of who's in a situation of authority. So I think that a letter of thanks sent to our local legislators, it's in order, signed by all 5 or 6 of us, and you know, we need to do that because we certainly give them a hard time when we want them. Let's, you know, try to remember that they come up with stuff that we need most of the time anyway. So, yeah, they do their best. And I do have a question, Susan, that I need you to answer for me sometime when you get a chance. The library, do they have restrictions on the number of people that can attend on their, or can reserve their meeting rooms that you know of?
No.
It's by group. If a group prefers to meet to need in that room in order to spread out, they do that. But the library itself does not require that.
Oh, the rooms. I'm talking about the rooms.
No, they don't require.
They don't? That's not what I heard, but
Community meeting the 17th at the library, and it's in their big room, so there's no restrictions.
good. So that's one. I think that's pretty much it. I am going to that ICE tour later today, I hope. Susan, your turn.
Yes, very pleased that we issued the broadband RFP yesterday. So that will be advertised for 2 weeks, and I hope we'll get some good responses. Attended the GYPA board meeting and the YMPO meeting by Zoom. We did meet with a number of county staff, engineering, finance, and grants, met with Buna George to talk about the mixture of the water and sewer infrastructure funds from the ARPA grant versus the general fund loan for the upcoming project to build out the GYPA port industrial park. And last week I was surprised and honored that I received the Rotarian of the Year award from my Yuma Rotary Club. So that was exciting news for me. Like, So anyway,
that's because of the board
that's
here.
my
You know,
news. What's that?
it's because of the board. You look so good because of this.
Thank you.
That's it? All right. We have an executive session to go to. There is no additional information. You're gonna, you know, the attorneys are gonna brief us. It be verbal more than anything else. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, I guess, entertain a motion to go into executive session, and then we'll pull everybody out, and that shouldn't be here, and we'll have it here. I think we'll turn off the mics and turn off the TV and have the discussion. We will be back to make a decision. It is an item in the agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second? The motion and second to go into executive session. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We need to clear the room. Only people that need to be here should be here. Thank you very much. Yeah.
We're live.
I know. All right, so we're back to regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to go back to regular meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn to.
So there's a
regular
motion and a
session.
second by Supervisor Porteous. So all those in favor of going back to a regular meeting? I know I can do it. We're not. All right, we'll call it back in the regular session, as I always normally do. I'm just trying to, test you. Yeah, you passed. So we're now in the regular session meeting, and we're taking on item number 5. County Attorney item, authorize the chairman to complete and execute the ballot for voting to accept or reject the 5th amended joint Chapter 11 plan of reorganization for Purdue Pharma LP and its affiliated debtors. So, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
To approve.
Motion as presented.
Okay, well, it says to accept or reject, so we need to
To
say
accept.
specifically to accept.
To accept.
To accept. So I will be signing the ballot, accepting the settlement.
Who made it first?
Darren.
Yeah, Supervisor Simmons and Supervisor, what's your name? Nice. Nice. I always like to call him Jonathan, so I gotta figure out, it's got him Supervisor Lines. So Supervisor Simmons made the motion, Supervisor Lines seconded the motion to accept the plea, the plan of reorganization, Chapter 11 plan of reorganization. Is there any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye, and I think we're gonna take a roll call, right? Is that what you want us to do, take a roll call, or just simply a voice call? All right, so all those in favor said aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, and that takes care of the business at hand today, so everybody get ready. Where are we going to meet there at the ice thing, or are we going to leave here? We're gonna meet there?
I'm not.
It's at Wyndham.
It's at, yeah.
At Wyndham.